Welcome to this very special edition of One-on-One with Mitch Lafon as I dig back into my vaults of June 10th, 2001 for what is believed to be Robbin Crosby of RATT's final interview. At the time, Robbin was in hospice care and very much wanted to have his version of the band's history documented, and for historical purposes, nothing from the discussion has been removed, including pre- and post-interview banter. The interview was done over the phone and recorded using a Radio Shack call recorder device plugged into a Sony Mini-Disc. Ah, yes, the Mini-Disc. The interview was set up graciously by RATT bassist Juan Croucier, and I'd like to personally thank him for that. Also, please note that no part of this interview may be used in whole or in part without my express written consent. For more great interviews and rock news, please follow me on Twitter at Mitch Lafon, MITCHLAFON, and head over to TalkingMetal.com. And now, without further ado, here is the much-loved Robbin Crosby.
We've been trying to get this done for a while, basically. Trying to get your story down on tape and out to the public. So where would you like to start? Do you want to go all the way back to the early days of how you got into RATT and how you got started there, or what would you like to do?
I think that story is pretty well beat.
Okay.
I think more interesting is the truth about what really went down and how it went down
and then maybe what's going on now and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. What is the truth?
The honest truth. You can't handle the truth.
Hopefully will.
When we started,
right.
It was all gung ho, and everybody was, friendly, and things, worked out, and we rehearsed our asses off, and we did the Out of the Cellar tour,
right?
And that was about, Jesus, I think we did some kind of incredible 320 shows in 14 months.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
I mean, it was a real burnout. It was great and it was fun, but we didn't know any different. We didn't have anything to compare it to. We just thought, we're on tour, and little did we know that we were being worked too hard, and that was, our fault too, because we were digging it, but just physically and everything, there's only so much you can take, and it didn't even begin to phase us at that point. But when we got home, we took a little bit of time off, not much, and then we went to Maui, the whole band, and everybody got their own little room, or what do you want to call it, a condo kind of thing, with kitchens, and I don't know, that was kind of, I hate to say the beginning of the end, but everybody took their girlfriends and wives and kids.
Right.
And in my personal opinion, it was a time to work. And it wasn't a vacation, It was, I'm going to get chewed out for saying this stuff, but, I got along fine with all their wives and stuff. I had no
qualms or no fights with them.
No. But some of them thought so, because I just, wanted the guys to do what we needed to do and not, kiss butt with the old lady. That part of the problem also was, in my opinion, just being so young and not really ever having anything before financially, and sort of then being handed this huge wad of money and responsibility, and being, told, hey, well, you need to buy a house and get some cars, and for tax reasons, and this and that and the other. And my hand was up. Everybody's was, everybody's ready to spend some cash, and
right.
And the thing is, you take a 24-year-old guy who's never had anything and hand him a couple $1 million, and
you're asking for trouble.
Yeah, man. I mean,
You had nothing. You came from a poor background then?
Not poor, but we all lived together in a one-bedroom apartment,
Okay.
Basically. And then, I moved out with Nicky from Motley. I lived with him for a couple of years, and
There's a picture of you and Nicky in their new Motley Crue book, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Out in Maui. Go figure.
In Maui?
Or in no.
Oh, it's in Martinique.
Oh, yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you moved out with Nicky?
Yeah, and for a few years, and let's see, where was I with the band, though? Oh, the Hawaii excursion.
Right.
Well, that at that point, everybody was kind of doing their own thing already. It was like we were supposed to go and write together and stuff, but like Warren had his wife who he hadn't seen in months, and a new baby, and Juan, same thing, and Steven, let's see, he had his own place, but he didn't have I think he might have taken a girlfriend with him or something. I'm not really sure, because I remember feeling really alone, because not only did I not get a place in their complex, because there wasn't another one, so I got one down the road, not walking distance, but, needed a car. Well, nobody ever came over to my place, and
who sent you to Hawaii? Was it the record company, or was it a band decision?
No, it was a band decision. We all wanted to, get some time off, but it turned out to be time off. I mean, it was like, whoa, if we went surfing or fucked around for a day, it's like the manager was there, and it was like, well, when are you guys going to get together and write? And get together and writing was, somebody'd come up with a riff, Warren would come up with a riff, and I'd kind of turn it into a tune with Steve, and, Warren had great guitar riffs, but they weren't really songs per se, so we'd take them and kind of make tunes out of them, but it was kind of like pulling teeth.
Right. Now, what album was this for? When was this?
This was for Invasion when it started.
Okay.
Which is really a shame, because that was at our peak.
Right.
And that tour and everything, I mean, could have just been a, mind blower, but that's what I was wanting to do, and for me, it was starting to be the beginning of the end. And I'm telling you this, it's the truth, and, I'll probably be more exiled than ever from now on, but, I don't give a shit.
From the rest of the band.
Yeah, and if they really search their souls, they'll realize that it's the truth too. Because
now this was only the third album. I mean, you had the EP.
Third album.
And the Out of the Cellar. So the trouble started really early then.
Well, I was like wanting to have a good time and take advantage of all this shit, and so did Steven. Because, we weren't married,
right.
And we didn't have homes, so when we got home from tour and stuff, we lived at, like, the Sunset Marquee. The guys from Def Leppard were staying there, for a few months, and we were there, and Rodney Dangerfield was my neighbor, and I couldn't have been happier. I was just stoked.
Right.
Everything was just blue water. To me, it was everything my childhood dream had come true. I had money and guitars I always wanted, and everything that you ever wanted. I really, on that note, I wish that I had realized that I really wasn't into material things.
Right.
Because I got a lot of stuff, just stuff that ended up collecting dust, that cost me a lot of money and ended up, you got absolutely nothing for it, just like anything else. But let's see.
I mean, so you bought obviously a lot of cars and a lot of guitars and all that stuff.
Yeah. And that was Invasion. Now, okay, we go out for the Invasion tour with Bon Jovi opening, hesitantly by Steven, who for some reason, I know what it was. We went on this, we went up and played the Capitol Theater in Washington.
Right.
Well, I guess it's Seattle, or I don't know.
Right.
But anyway, I guess we did that show and a show in Portland that were kind of big club type shows. And Steven apparently, he claimed that Bon Jovi, gave him the, I'm better than you vibe or something, which in reality it was probably vice versa.
Right.
And so the tour begins, the nightmare begins, let's put it that way. Because, I'm going to get the traitor routine, but really it almost felt that way because those guys were so nice, and they all got along so well together. And Johnny, in my opinion, is a great guy and a super good friend. I would consider him a real good friend. And they all, every night, had a great time, in their dressing room before the show and stuff. And go into our dressing room, and everybody was bitching at each other, sitting around, like, trying to read a magazine. But in reality, it's like, oh, well, what's the matter with this soup, man? The soup sucks every night. And this is the wrong kind of booze, and, just whatever, man, bitching and moaning about everything. And then every fucking night, Steven would go out, watch about 2 seconds of their show, and come back in just raging pissed that Johnny was ripping off his shtick. And it was like, Steven, you don't have a shtick to rip off. You don't do no, you're not David Lee Roth. You know, you don't say anything special, and you barely know what fucking city we're in. You know, so what do you mean his shtick? So anyway, it just became the feud of the century. Every night, you know, he'd want to cut some of their lights or cut some of their stage, and this and that and the other, and he'd do it without talking to us, going straight to the production manager, and you know, we'd find out and say, fuck that, and then, you know, there's animosity there, and Steven felt that, you know, we weren't really backing him up, that we should be.
Now, was there a fight between, I mean, was there like a constant fight about you guys against Steven, or was this?
No.
No. Okay.
No, it was just, you know, Steven being Steven, and it got pretty weird, because, again, you know, he didn't have a girl for a while yet, and he was drinking quite a bit, and so was I. You know, I was drinking and doing a lot of drugs, and you know, that started getting. But for me, you know, I was still having a great time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I spent all my time in Bon Jovi's dressing room. You know, before they went on, and then after they came off, they were all high energy, and I'd get all hyped up being around them, and then I'd go into our dressing room, and everybody was literally just moping around. And it's like, okay, guys, ready to go. And they're just like, okay, you know, they grab their guitar and mosey on out there. And not that we didn't kick ass. You know, I thought we were a great band. You know, Steven, you know, had his problems with being in tune, you know, on stage. But, you know, I'm not here to bad rap anybody, but, I mean, like I said, I think if you asked any of them, all of this is exactly how we all felt, you know. The Bon Jovi thing just got absolutely ridiculous.
How long did you tour with Bon Jovi?
Over a year.
Okay.
So, you know, you can imagine how weird it got. And then I turned into Benedict Arnold, of course,
right,
with everybody because, you know, I spent time with them. And sometimes I'd go on their bus, and on days off I'd go over to their hotel. You know, it was just like, fuck anything to get away from you guys and your bitching and moaning. And that went on all tour, you know, and it just got worse and worse. And that's when I felt myself, because in the past, the first 3 albums, Like It or Lump It, I was kind of not in charge, but, you know, everybody kind of looked to me for the, well, what do you think? You know, kind of the last word.
Now, why was that? Were you more experienced, older, or they just had more confidence in you, or?
I don't know. I really don't know. It's because I was a little bit more mature, I think. You know, all they knew how to do was kind of kid around and.
Now, were you the oldest in the band?
No, not by any means.
Okay, so they just trusted you then.
Kinda, yeah. And you know, my nickname was the King, and I mean, they'll probably all deny this, so I'm just telling you the truth, man. But right around the end of the Invasion tour, well, I didn't know it at that time, but by the time we went to do the beginning of the dancing tour,
mm-hmm.
I just let my sort of position drop, you know. I just sort of, it was like, whatever, you know. I couldn't handle the fighting anymore over every little thing, every fucking.
Now, was the fighting getting worse and worse at this point? Was it getting
absolutely?
Okay.
And
were there like different camps within Bon Jovi? I mean, you said Bon within RATT. I mean, was there like Ron and Bobby?
It depended on the day.
Okay.
You know, sometimes it was. Most of the time, it was me and Steven because we were the bad guys because we wanted to stay on tour all the time, and we, you know.
So you're saying it was you and Steven against everybody else?
Kinda.
Okay.
But not really against, just
butting heads, if you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so then the dancing tour comes up.
Well, yeah. After I had met my girlfriend, who eventually was my wife,
right,
at the very last shows of the Invasion tour.
Okay.
And
then of course you probably took some time off before going into the dancing recording session.
Right. And when I got home, I was really burned out, as you know, because of the tour and stuff. And I started smoking heroin.
Okay.
And that became a kind of a ritual, you know.
Now, was that an expensive habit? Were you doing thousands of dollars a week, or?
At that point, it was. No, yeah, probably a couple $100 a day.
Now, what made you turn towards the heroin? Was it just a way to escape, or were the other drugs just not having any more effect, or?
Yeah, I just liked the way it made me feel better, and I didn't get all drunk and hungover. Or, I thought it was, you know, great, or you know, what a ridiculous. And the whole thing was like, you know, it's not going to happen to me, and I can handle it, and that went on. And we did the dancing
recording sessions.
Recordings, and
now how did that go? A lot of fighting, a lot of time.
Tough, yeah. A lot of weirdness, you know. What songs are we gonna do? Whose songs are we gonna do? And when it all boiled down to it, we ended up with like 3 songs that were real half-ass, in my opinion.
Which ones?
Take a Chance.
Okay.
And I'd have to look at the record on the.
Let's see. We got Take a Chance. You got Body Talk. You got Slip of the Lip. Dancing Undercover, or just Dance, 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 whatever it's called. What else is on there?
Looking for Love.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
What's the one that says Loose Lips Sink Ships? That's Slip of the Tongue, huh?
That's Slip of the Lip. No,
Slip of the Lip, sorry.
There was 7th Avenue. That had potential, but it just never really got its feet on the ground.
Okay.
But, of course, since Warren wrote it, it was great. You know, he's starting to get the real bummer thing that I was on all the magazine covers and stuff with Steven, just because I was more gregarious and a better interview. I mean, let's face it, he'd go to talk to him, and he at that point, he was very quiet, and, didn't have a whole lot to say, and the magazine guys picked up on that. It was like he was just kind of a boring interview. And, it wasn't my fault that they'd call up and want an interview with me and Steven, and then a photo shoot. And then, again, I'd start getting shit for stuff like that from the whole band. You know, like I went on the Howard Stern show,
right,
and he liked us because somebody made a tape for him with Round and Round on it, just a tape of a bunch of songs. Now this is still when he was in a total, short hair, and he wasn't God of the world yet.
Right. He was just still a local DJ at this point.
Right. I had no idea who he was. It blew my mind. That's a whole other story, I'll tell you. But I went on with this guy, and I had been with Tawny Katane for years.
Mm-hmm.
I was dating Apollonia. The Playboy issue with Lori was out, I think, at this point. Yeah.
Lori who?
Lori Carr, the girl who ended up being my wife. She was a Playboy centerfold.
Okay.
There's a couple pictures of me in there too. And that's what he wanted to talk about.
Right.
And he didn't know anything about the band. He liked the tune, and I just Steven was with me, and he was just like what he wanted to talk about. That's all I can say. So I get back. Actually, I went around and did interviews all over New York and Jersey that day. Must have done at least 20 stations. And everybody was like, yeah, I heard you on Stern this morning, man. That was great. And I was like, this is Stern, the guy. Later did I find out, But he was perfectly nice, and we got along fine. But, I get back to the guys in the band, and it was like, real fucking nice, King. What the fuck are you doing talking about that shit for? What's that got to do with RATT? So for like days, it was just like, when they'd see me. I mean, that was the headset. So get yourself into that headset, and you can pretty much see where the band was at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like ridiculous. Anything I do, I'd fly ahead of the band a lot of the time, because nobody wanted to go and do a radio interview because they were up partying all night or something. Or so was I, but I'd get up and fly ahead and go do interviews, and that happened a lot of times. And nobody, never once got a thank you. It was always just, fucking King. They just thought I wanted...
all the attention.
Yeah, and all I was trying to do is help the band. That was, if you'll read anything I ever said, it was, I lied through my teeth. I was like, we're the best of friends, and in a lot of ways, that's what I dreamed of. I mean, I grew up with Warren. He was like, I played at his 9th grade graduation before he ever picked up a guitar. I mean, it broke my heart, literally, the whole fucking thing. So now we're getting to Dancing Undercover, which was a big difference tour-wise.
Right.
The people weren't as, although we were still doing big crowds, it wasn't quite.
Right.
Certainly wasn't what the Bon Jovi RATT tour was, because that was, sold out every night, and just awesome. And that's why I could never figure out why, they could, because they all thought it was just them, Anyway.
We're on the dancing tour now.
Right, and that was just kind of a wash, really. And nobody was really, now we have Poison with us. Now we have the same thing going on. Brett's ripping off Steven's Trip, and they're doing our whole trip, and you know, the clothes, the makeup, the choreography, you know, they're doing our whole bag, and they're stealing the show, and you know, it was before they were big at all, you know, really, when they started with us, and I knew for a fact that they were going to be big. I told them, you know, I just said, you just keep up that energy, and you're bound to make it, you know, and the rest of the guys just hated them. You know, we're begging the management to get them off the tour. So we got Queensryche to open up for a while, for a couple of weeks.
So Poison was kicked off the tour then?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we got Queensryche, and wow, watch the tickets just really take a nosedive, because they were on an album that I guess didn't really sell, or it was just a bad mix, you know, because we were like a party band and they were like a dark thing, you know. I liked them personally. It just wasn't a good mix.
No, they were more of a synthesizer, progressive, and
yeah, you know, it just didn't fly, man. And then so I, you know, I begged everyone, and everybody, you know, knuckled down and had a huge dinner of crow, and got Poison back. And all of a sudden, it started feeling pretty big again, and we started having some real big shows, because they were coming around as a band and as a, you know, a radio thing. They had songs going and stuff. So that was that, and then we came back. Didn't take enough time off again. Went right back into, you know, I think that was really the downfall of the whole thing, was that just right from the beginning, we never
took time off.
No, you know, it was either writing and rehearsing the stuff that we had writ to play gigs at first, you know, around town, and then once we got signed, it was writing for the album, and then do the album, and then do the tour, and then come back and take a little time off and write and rehearse and record, etc., etc. You know, that went on for 6 albums, you know, or 5. I get confused with that 81, 91 thing.
Right.
But
now, what's the vibe like between? I mean, is anybody helping the band out, or is Warren still into it? Is Juan still into it? I mean, how's the band going at that point in terms of?
Nobody's really into it. You know, like I saw Warren on this MTV thing in retrospect or whatever. It was taped a couple of years ago, but you know, he was saying, yeah, the whole thing, looking back, it was just not a really happy time for me, and I kind of blew my mind, because, I mean, I was trying to have the time of my life, and they just stopped me from doing that, you know? It was just fucked. And you know, everybody wanted to have a great time, but they just didn't know how or something. I don't know what to tell you.
Now at that time, how come the band managed to survive? Why didn't the band just pack it up and break up?
Should have.
But what held it together?
Well, wanting to get that hit and have another big album.
Okay.
So we were for sure that Reach for the Sky was going to be it.
Okay.
We got a new producer, which, by the way, was a huge mistake.
Who was that at that point? Was that Bo Hill or was that somebody else?
No, Bo Hill did the rest of the
He did the ones before. Okay.
And ended up finishing that record.
Okay.
No, it was Mike...
Mike Klink?
No, Mike did the Queen, engineered the Queen records. It's embarrassing, I don't remember. Mike Stone.
Okay.
And some Australian engineer that I don't remember. But we got started at A&M Studios and started getting really good drum sounds and great guitar tones, and started going and had a real meltdown with all of a sudden we could not get the bass to tune to the tracks.
Okay.
And everybody's blaming it on one, and we had every bass in L.A. down there. We had borrowed from all the shops, and I don't know what was going on. I really don't. But I'll tell you this, there was so much fucking coke getting shoved up everybody's heads, you know, producers included. It was just crazy. And we had, that was the first time that we actually had a year off, but it was a whole year of recording this fucking record. And then finally, Atlantic wanted to hear some demos, and immediately fired Mike Stone and brought Bo Hill back in to salvage the tapes, because he just, you know, he figured that Bo was the answer to the band, you know.
What was wrong with the tapes? I mean, why were they so bad?
The sounds were great.
Okay.
The band was great, but Steven, you know, they, in his defense, when they asked to hear them play, they were just rough tracks.
Right.
But we had been fucking with this record for like 8 months at this point, man. You know, we recorded out of the cellar in like 2 months for $65,000. This album is already up to like $800,000 and sounded like shit, you know. Well, not shit, but you know, it didn't have any lead vocals.
Okay.
And this and that and the other.
No lead vocals laid down in 8 months?
No.
How come?
Not a one.
Steven wasn't coming in, or
no? It's just that's how long it took to get everything going. This thing with the bass thing took months to figure out. I mean, just ridiculous. So, you know what? You want to call me back in 15 minutes?
Sure, you having supper?
Yeah.
Will do.
Thanks.
Talk to you soon. So let's, I'm all set. So we were at Dancing Undercover. That's where we left off. So where would you like to go from there? We didn't really talk about the Dancing Undercover tour. I think we sort of talked about the album. The one question I had about all the albums is, was RATT always RATT in the studio? Was there any ghost musicians?
No, none whatsoever.
No? So RATT was always the real deal?
Yep.
And at any time, did people swap instruments? I mean, did Juan do guitar parts and you do bass parts, or?
No.
No. Okay, so you're not like Kiss or some of these other bands, then you.
No.
You guys were honest about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Dancing Undercover thing. Let's see. It went. I guess it went pretty smooth, really, because we kind of had it down pat by then with Bo.
Okay.
As far as the.
Roger, that's why we left off after the demos, and then you brought in Bo to pinch hit or whatever.
No, that was for Reach for the Sky.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. That's where we were. Sorry. I'm lost.
Do we want to go back to
No, I guess we can
Dancing
continue.
Undercover?
No. I guess we can continue from Reach for the Sky then.
Yeah.
Sorry, my mistake.
Well, anyway, the Reach for the Sky, almost the drums and the guitars were done pretty much. All my guitars were done, and when Bo came in to fix up, I know he and Warren redid, I think, all the solos, and he didn't feel that there was a hit on the record, so he and Warren got together and came up with Way Cool Jr. That's why Bo has a writing
credit,
right, which you don't see much on RATT albums, as we were just mentioning.
Okay.
However,
yeah.
what was I going to say? Oh, on the Detonator, well, am I getting ahead of myself? Yeah, probably. Reach for the Sky was...
Now, did you have to re-record a whole bunch of new songs, or were you able to salvage the ones you had?
No, we used all the rhythm tracks and just did the vocal tracks the way Bo did it with Steven.
Okay.
They had a certain way that they did it. Of course, some of the guys hated the way they did it, but really it was the only way to get Steven to sound the way Steven sounds.
Yeah,
you know?
Steven has told me that he used to just he never actually was in the studio with the band. He would go in like a month later and do vocals.
Right, and he never rehearsed with the band, so we never knew what was gonna be sung or what it was gonna sound like.
Okay.
And it was really kind of irritating to me, and to Juan, who was going to have to sing backups, you know.
Now you're talking for the album, or you're talking even for live shows you never rehearsed?
For live shows, he barely ever sang.
Okay.
In rehearsal, he'd, like a week before we go out, he'd come in and maybe make it through a set, you know, and that was that. And we were just supposed to know what to sing as far as backups.
And that must have been extremely frustrating for you and the rest of the band?
Well, it was, because Steven's not a singer, you know. He doesn't sing on key, really, and he just, every night it's something different. So to harmonize to him is next to impossible.
Okay.
You know, I mean, you know, this whole thing makes me feel so bad.
Right.
You know, I mean, Steven used to pick me up at high school, you know, and we'd go smoke joints and rock out, and other guys playing, and, you know, like I said, I grew up with Warren, and, you know, it just makes my heart hurt just to even talk about this. Was, you know, my dream come true with people that I loved, you know, and it just got so bad. I couldn't believe. I mean, that's why the whole drug thing just enveloped me. You know, I was hurting so bad inside that to show up to any kind of a thing was just more than I could take. You know, another argument session. You know, I'd get loaded, and when we had that year off for Reach for the Sky was really the killer for me, because in the past I never used on tour, you know.
Right.
I'd always just go cold turkey, and the first couple of weeks were kind of a drag, but the Reach tour was difficult, you know. For me, I had to, you know, take a lot of pills and use this stuff that, well, sort of getting into medical crap, but anyway, I had to do my thing, and then let's see.
Now, who was that tour with, and how did so the tour went bad? I mean,
no, actually, that one was all right. We had Warrant and Kicks,
right,
and there wasn't really any animosity, and the crowds were okay, and the band was playing pretty well, and really nobody had anything to really bitch about. I love that record. I like the music on it. It seemed more RATT to me than some of the stuff like Detonator. Of course, I had little or nothing to do with that record. I mean, I think I wrote Can't Wait on Love, and I had a hand in, let's see, one of the other ones. But due to the fact that I was in rehab for 30 days,
okay,
and they had gotten together through our new manager who was gonna save our careers and make us millions and this, that, and the other, who ended up just absolutely fucking us.
And who was that? Was that
Alan Kovac?
Okay.
Left Bank Management.
Okay.
You know, he promised, you know, he got these huge advances, he did, but then everybody came back and sued for him, because not only did we not tour the album, you know, he crossed up some deals with the publishing people, you know, signed us with somebody, and we were already with somebody else, and blah, blah, blah. So,
it ended up costing you money. So there was no tour for Detonator then?
Oh, we went to Europe and did a tour of, you know, over there it's like
right,
clubs, really, or little kind of theaters and stuff.
Right.
And that was okay, but I think we never really broke the scene over there. And then we came back and did the
greatest hits?
Yes. Hold on, I gotta take my medicine.
Right.
Hold on.
No problem. All right.
So we're jumping around here a little bit.
Right. So we finished.
Reach for the Sky got bad for me because I got real strung out because we had all that time off.
Right.
Plus, there was a lot of animosity. Plus, everybody was doing their family thing, and you know, we sort of drifted apart. And everybody was, when we got to doing it again, I know a lot of us were really ready to get back into it and get away from, you know, the domestic bullshit, which I was never cut out for. I should have known from the beginning that, you know, getting married and shit just was not me.
So you were ready to go, ready to get back on the road then?
Yeah, and like I said, Reach was good. I can't really remember it being a bummer at all, except that crowds were good in big markets and not so good in middle and small markets. And we cut off the end of the tour, just, you know, just about 3 weeks of it just seemed like the thing to do, you know.
Why was that? Because of poor ticket sales, or?
Well, maybe more we were just burned out.
Okay.
And it wasn't just happening, you know, and just seemed like the smart thing to do rather than just burn us into the ground. You know, we weren't going to make a fortune by doing it, so we did it, and we were all real happy about that, I know, because the gigs coming up were nothing real,
impressive or whatever.
yeah.
They were small.
Which never really mattered to me, because a lot of the smaller, clubs, towns and stuff were a lot of time the best gigs, you know. I always felt.
Okay.
You know, whereas a lot of the guys, you know, if we weren't doing Madison Square Garden during the Forum, it was just like, they'd just go out there with a half-ass attitude. But I always sort of tried to give it my all, you know. You get fan mail, and it's surprising, you know. We're from Bug Tussle, Arkansas, and we drove 3 hours to see you guys, and you kicked our ass, you know.
Right.
That makes you feel so good, you know. I'm getting incredible email stuff on the computer right now because I just released the thing. Well, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Sorry. So Detonator, okay. So the Kovac brings in Desmond Child, because look what he did with Bon Jovi and Aerosmith. Well, shit, he talked to Bon Jovi and Aerosmith about it after it was said and done, and they went, oh God, what a nightmare, you know. Not only does he just throw in a word here and there and then demand 30% of the publishing, which is what he did with us. I mean, and that album to me is so un-RATT. It's just, I don't know. I'm only on, 2 songs are mine only. Maybe I have animosity about it because.
But you did play on it, right?
Yeah, but you know, I was promised that when I got out of the hospital, you know, my stuff would be heard, and you know, we'd all be given a fair shake and by the time I got out and got down there to do that, it was like, well, we've pretty much got the songs figured out, you know. So I got Can't Wait on Love on there, and that was pretty much it, and that hurt my feelings badly. And also really hurt my feelings that when I was in rehab, nobody came to visit me, not once.
None of the band members bothered dropping by?
Nope, and it was right in between all of their houses and going to Hollywood at the time. I think Warren came by once with Desmond, which was obviously a forced maneuver by the management, you know.
Right.
Because Desmond and I never
clicked.
No, he was a bit too much for me. So that album and tour was just, you know, I wasn't into the music. I didn't even have practically practice and learn the damn songs, you know, for the tour. Just wasn't their music to me. It just didn't sound like us. It wasn't us. You know, Diane Warren and Desmond Child on every song and all these goofy lyrics. You know, I don't know. It just really bummed me out. It was so hard rock or something, you know.
Well, it was a very pop album.
Yeah, and that just, to me, at the time, not only was the writing on the wall that you know, Soundgarden and Pearl Jam and this and that were, the new bands were sounding harder, and Metallica was getting bigger and bigger, and it was like, I was always into heavier rock than we ever really did. And to me, it was like, like I said, the writing was on the wall. I was like, you guys, I wanted to just totally shit can the whole Desmond thing and go harder style, the real RATT sound, like the EP. I mean, that's RATT to me.
Right.
Kicking ass, that was live. The band playing live and then Steven overdubbing, and then we do the backups. But other than that, that was a fucking live record, and that was the band, All the records after that, just got more posh and more expensive, and
polished up.
In my opinion, that you want to hear RATT, go buy the EP and listen to the 6 songs, So.
And then what comes after that? Then the greatest hits came out, 81, 91, I think.
Yeah.
And.
Yeah. And that I didn't even. I had left by then, and all their little deals that they had made with the fucking schnook Kovac, he encouraged me to leave, and that he was going to make me more money than I ever was going to make with them. I'm going to be a huge producer, and he was going to get me all these bands and this and that. And so, I figured I felt pretty secure, in leaving, and we had a terrible time on the last Japanese tour. And I was just like, fuck it, I'm out of here. This sucks. I cannot live like this anymore, So I started to record this band that I'd found that I thought, well, I still think that had they been done right, they would have been right in there with Soundgarden and.
Now, who was that? That wasn't Secret Agent or Secret Service or whatever?
No, that was my band.
Okay.
No, this was called Mail Order Brides.
Okay.
But they were real good, and they were edgy, and had that sort of, not punk, but just tear it up attitude,
Mm-hmm.
I really thought it was cool, but the manager told me, yeah, go ahead, start recording them, and we'll give you $6,000 to, do the demos. Well, I did with my money, gave them the pre-demo demos, and they never paid me a nickel. And that's the beginning of the whole real animosity shit.
With management or with the members of RATT?
Both.
Okay.
They were backing him up, and I'm saying he's a fucking thief. I was friends with him and his wife, and me and my wife would go out to dinner all the time and shit. I was the one. It was like that with me and Marshall Burrow too, though.
Mm-hmm.
And all our tour managers. I made friends with all these people to avoid being put into the fucking hellhole of sitting around and bitching with those guys. So for that, I always got, it was always, I was the bad guy, You understand?
Mm-hmm. So you were the traitor, I guess.
Exactly, all the time, and all I really wanted to do was get a little peace of mind, and it all was for the best of the band. I loved that band with all my heart. That was, everything I ever wanted to do and more, and made it, All I ever wanted out of rock and roll was to see the world. I never really expected to, make money. And to do both and have it all really come down was something else. So, Detonator, we did Europe. they had a bad scene in Japan.
That was just the band-wise. There was a lot of bickering and a lot of fighting, I suppose.
Yeah, I was drinking real hard because I was, getting clean, trying to, clean up my act for the tour, and it just, nobody had any feeling. It was just go out and go through the motions, which was terrible. And it just, after that tour, it was just like over. And then they started playing some fucking gigs that we had lined up with some kid with a Hammond B3 organ with like peace, love, flowers painted all over it and shit. This guy's gonna take my place,
What was his name, that guy?
Oh, I have no idea.
Now, they also went out as a four-piece for a while, didn't they?
No, Michael Schenker did some gigs with him. Or no, that's when that band that Kovac put together with, where they did the Mott the Hoople tune with Bobby and...
Oh, Contraband.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So Contraband opened up for RATT, and Schenker sort of filled in for where I would have been.
Now, what was the band's excuse for you not being there? Was it he's ill or whatever, or was he's out of the band?
I have no idea. They never said anything. I never said anything. Nobody ever asked.
And this was what, 90, 91?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I think it was 91.
Okay.
I don't know what they said. A bunch of lies, I'm sure. That's what Juan says now, is that it was all lies and that everything was my fault and that they kicked me out and this and that and the other. So, anyway, I got real, the band's did for me. I had a divorce from my wife.
So everything in 91 is going wrong at this point.
Yeah, I let my wife stay at my house. So I went and got an apartment.
Okay.
To smooth things over, because the house is for sale. I figured I'd let her live there until we sold it, and then we were going to split the proceeds. Well, that never happened. So I lost out on everything, even my down money.
Okay.
And, I pretty much lost everything between the divorce and a huge habit. And,
so you ended up broke at this point, or?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Now
the habit's at how much now per week? Are we talking like tens of thousands, or?
Oh, I don't know, thousands.
A day?
A week, at least.
Okay.
And just ridiculous, I thought I was made of money, never checked the books, because I didn't want to know. And I just let myself fall into a really bummer scene, It was just, I didn't care about anything, myself, or, me and my black Labrador would just, that was us. It was us against the world. I was just on my own. I didn't really have any friends or anything. And
so nobody in the band was friends with you? Steven didn't call, or Juan?
Oh, no way. No way.
So everybody just ignored you. You were
absolutely. I was I was the bad guy.
Okay. Now.
So.
Sorry.
I got really drugged out, and my health started getting weird, and I was in the hospital in a doctor asked me if I'd been checked for HIV, and I said yes. And she said, well, do you mind if I check again? And I said no. And then I started getting all these messages from her, and I thought, oh boy, I know what this means, because if it was negative, she wouldn't be trying to trace me down.
Right.
So this was about 94. I found out, that I was positive, and I hedged on that, with the press and everything for years, really, because I didn't know what to think of it or make of it or what to think. So that just led to more drugs and real true depression. I tried to kill myself and the whole 9 yards. And some people can call you a wimp but I'd like to see them go through what I went through in a matter of a year or so and not have the feelings that I did,
I mean, you went from top of the world to practically being on the streets, I gather.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, did you ever end up homeless? Were you ever...
Oh, not homeless.
No,
but
so you never,
close.
But close.
And
nobody offered to help you out? Nobody,
nope.
The band said, here's $10?
Wouldn't even lend me $20.
Wow.
And,
that must have hurt.
Oh, it hurt so bad that I couldn't even see him or talk to him or anything. It was just ridiculous. Sometimes when I'd get real destitute, I'd call him up and say, hey, could you, till we get our next publishing check, give me $100 or something. They'd just be like, Robbin, no, no. No excuse, no nothing, just no. So, later on, Stephen lent me a little money after years had gone by and they found out that I was sick. That, softened them up to the tune of about $100. And, I didn't want to mooch money off anybody. That's never been my thing. But in the last couple of years, for a long time there, I didn't want to live, or I really didn't care so much, It wasn't that I was going to go do myself in again or anything. But I tell you, I just kind of had a rejuvenation. My dog died, or she was stolen, actually. I don't know what happened to her, but she was my best friend, and for 11 years, and that just devastated me. And I all of a sudden just wanted to live, I want to pull myself together, and I want to do some music that says, hey, this guy didn't just fall off the face of the earth, and he's not just a big fat junkie, and so when I get out of here, and when the material's written, Juan and I, and a lot of, I can't really use names right now because I don't have any definites, but, we probably like Nikki and Don Dokken and a lot of the old real friends that have been around forever.
Now, had those guys let you drop down too? I mean, did they come around and talk to you, or did they shun you also?
Well, Nikki and I got into the heroin thing together,
right.
And he quit back in
94, 95?
Well, no, before that, but then he relapsed a couple times. But he just couldn't handle. I mean, he was supposed to be the best man at my wedding, and he didn't even come because there was going to be people drinking, and that was when he was just going through his rehab thing. And that really fried my ass, you know. So we didn't talk for a few years, and he'd never lend me money or anything either. But you know that they didn't want me to just shoot it up my arm, I guess, you know. But now, you know, I put all that behind me, and I've got a lot of great music, and I think that this should be a really fun thing. Well, I think we're going to do it live on camera over the internet.
Okay.
You know, and some of the proceeds are going to go to the AIDS Health Foundation.
Now, has the HIV virus ever progressed to full-blown AIDS, or?
Yeah.
And how is? I'm trying to be. I mean, how is your health right now? Are you getting better, or is it getting worse, or?
Well, to be honest, I'll find out better in about a week. But basically, it's killing me.
In the sense of it's killing you like terminal, or it's killing you as in just you're in a lot of pain, or?
No, I've got a terminal disease that we're not sure that, you know, antibiotics can take care of it. But I'll know better on the 18th.
Now, what's coming up on the 18th that
well, an MRI that will tell me whether see, I went in for surgery because my back hurt so bad.
Right.
And they went right in and surged on me and got all this infectious fluid and stuff out, right?
Right.
And then found that my bones were not getting like oxygen underneath the infectious fluid, and it's called osteomyelitis. And after I went home for about 3 weeks, the pain got so bad, never got any better, really, after the surgery and everything. They had me on so much pain medicine and stuff that...
Now, you've been in and out of the hospital for what, for 7 years now?
Well, I mean, I've been straight in the hospital now for 5 months.
Okay.
But I've done stints for, about 7 years.
Well, no, hold on just 1 second. I'm just gonna. It has now started. So you've been doing stints for 7 years now. What else can you tell me about the illness or your illness?
Well, I've tried to keep a...
And how much do you want the public to know? Like, I mean, was it caused by the heroin? Was it caused by the drug use? I mean, just tell me whatever you want to tell me, and we'll leave it at that.
No, I had a infection in my leg that it just would not heal, I reckon, because of my compromised immune system.
Right.
And we figured that what got into my back and stuff, and I'm sure that the drug use and stuff didn't help.
Now, obviously you're clean now, I would imagine?
Yeah.
And you've been clean for how many years or how many months? Or?
It's been about a year. It's about 14 months.
Okay. And has that helped you feel any better, or?
Oh, yeah. Eventually, finally. Like now, I can't wait to get out of here and work. Because, see, I haven't really done anything in all this time.
Right.
You know, music and everything was just left a bad taste in my mouth, and I have so much energy and juice in me ready to pump it out, and you know, I don't want this to be some sympathy record or anything, but I'm not going to lie and say that it won't help me, and I want to give back to the people that have helped me with the, you know, AIDS Foundation, and I think it's going to be a great, you know, when was the last time there was something like this done?
Right.
I mean, except for that Children of the Night thing or whatever that was. I mean, that was pretty, whatever the word you want to use.
Right.
I don't even remember what in the hell that was all about, but...
No, was that the Ronnie James Dio thing? Or
yeah.
For the homeless kids or whatever?
Yeah, and they get a bunch of people to sing some...
Well, he just recently did that, right?
Well, no, it was years ago.
Well, that was Hearing Aid, the first one, wasn't it?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Anyway, you know, this is going to be, because it's going to be a good hard rock album, you know, and for people who are into hard rock still, and,
now, will you be able to play on it?
oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've been playing all along. I'm playing right here in the hospital.
Okay. So your chops are still good then? You're not completely rusty?
No, not at all.
And so, boy, it's difficult to ask questions when you... now, you had mentioned it's a terminal illness. Have they set... And I hope I don't offend you, but have they set a time? Have they said you're good for 2 years or 6 months, or they just don't know, or?
I just can't say until I know.
On the 18th.
Whether we're getting anywhere with the antibiotics, or whether I'm going to have to go in and do surgery again, which didn't really do anything. So if that's the case, then I'm pretty much, you know, out.
Right.
But that's why I want to do this so bad, you know. I just want people to know that I'm just not a complete loser, that I do care for them as they care for me. I mean, the amount of email and mail is just phenomenal.
Now, the email is going
to Juan's site.
Okay.
And it's pretty amazing, the amount of it, and what people remember, and how much they care, and how much they remember personally about me,
right,
and not just the band, you know.
Now, you're talking about Juan and Juan's site again, and for a while you had mentioned that nobody in the band was talking to you. So how did Juan?
Well, Juan and I pretty much always talked.
Okay.
We talked because we never really fought.
Right.
You know, and he is a little bit more savvy than some.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how to say that without putting people down. I don't want to do that. But he and I always had a sort of a rapport.
Right.
You know, we were born real close together, and a little bit more education, you know.
Yeah, right. Now, how is your relationship with the other members in the band? Do they ever try to contact you, or do you ever talk to them, or?
No, but I do sometimes. Steven will get a hold of me, and we went out, had dinner, and he lent me $80.
Now, this is Steven, right?
Yeah. Not too long ago.
Okay.
And
Warren and Bobby they don't...
And Warren and Bobby and I had lunch a few months ago, and it seemed pretty,
okay.
Seemed pretty forced. I don't know why. I don't know what their problem is. I just don't get it. I think they really feel bad that they let the whole thing, we never should have broken up.
Right.
We should have just taken a righteous hiatus,
Mm-hmm.
a year or two or whatever it took, I mean, if people were burned out, shit, we did an album a year for 6 years in a row, It's like rat and roll, yeah, rat and roll, whoopee, Needed some fresh air.
Needed to put some brakes on that rolling at some point.
Exactly,
Are you strong enough that you would consider doing like a one-off show with the band if they said, "Look, we'll all do this just for one night"? Or, I mean, is that something
I'm plenty strong enough,
okay.
but I don't think I'd do it with Rat.
Why not?
First of all, well, they didn't ask me to. I came out from Texas. I was living in Texas. They came out with the intention that we were going to put the band together. And then Warren got with me, and he was like, well, maybe if we do this record, we'll let you play on a track or something. I was like, what? And I mean, I just moved all the fucking way back here. If you little punk are going to tell me that you're going to let me, I was just like, couldn't fucking believe it.
Now, what album was this for?
Oh,
was that the one for Collodner, or was that...
Collage, I guess,
Collage.
or whatever. I never even heard it.
Okay.
I never even heard the Collodner record, really, to be honest.
Okay.
I have no interest, And now they're doing this thing that really blows my mind and calling it Rat. I mean, I'm sure they sound pretty good, too, Why not? Karabi and yeah.
Well, there's two Rats right now, theoretically.
Oh, Steven's doing it too?
Steven is out there as Rat featuring Stephen Piercy, and I don't know who's playing with him exactly, but I saw them last week in Lewiston, Maine, opening up for the Vince Neil Band.
Uh-huh.
And, I read the internet reviews, and a lot of people were like, hey, where is Rat? It was only Piercy. And I saw the other Rat, the Warren and Bobby Rat, in January with Jizzy Pearl. And, no offense to anybody, they were really good. I mean, without wanting to insult either you or Juan or anybody, they put on a good show.
Oh, I know. I mean, how could they sound bad?
Jizzy's been around. He's got the vocal chops. He sounds as good or as bad as Steven, depending on how you want to look at it.
Yeah.
And Karabi obviously has been around and knows how to do it. And, Warren and Bobby, well, they've been doing it for long enough, so...
Yep.
So it sounded decent, but it's
I'm sure. Yeah, I don't understand why they didn't change the name. They could have gotten a new deal and gone, had a new bag.
Well, I know that Collodner and Portrait had told Bobby and Warren to change the name, but from my interview with Bobby from last year, he had said, look, I invested 20 years of my life in this band, and I'm going to stay in it until I can't play anymore.
They told him that, though, when Steven was still in the band.
Mm-hmm. Well, he still says that now.
Yeah, well, I think that's stupid, because with a new singer and all, it's just dumb.
What's your take on the whole state of Rat these days?
What state?
Are you part of that lawsuit that's currently going on in L.A. where, Piercy is suing Warren and Bobby, and Warren and Bobby are suing Piercy, and I think Juan has his hand in there somewhere, and...
What's his dime?
Yeah.
What?
Pardon me?
Nothing.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering...
No, I'm not involved in any lawsuit.
And what do you think of all that stuff going on?
Well, I just think it's silly that they didn't call it something else. I don't understand, and I sure as shit don't understand why Steven is doing it with a bunch of guys who had nothing to do with it. You know, I'm sort of surprised he didn't like ask me to do it, and we could have been two guys. You know, that would have been really lame too. You know.
Is that something? Would you be able to tour? I mean, would you be able to sit on the bus and get out there and play, or?
Yeah.
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 Is that something you'd like to do, or?
I'd like to do some shows with this record thing that we're going to do, but depends on whether a real sort of band comes out of it or whether it's just, you know, a bunch of guys and we're going to do a bunch of songs, you know.
Okay.
I mean, at this point, that's what it is. You know, but I've got some good songs that I think, you know, really the main thing is I want to gain some respect that I think most people, you know, have written me off as a complete loser.
Right.
And that really hurts me because I worked overtime hard on RATT. And
do you think part of that, the public perception, is the fact that you've been silent for so long in terms of the whole illness and all that people just figured, well, he's probably just a junkie, and then rumors started coming
yeah,
out?
well, that's why I stayed out of it, though, you know?
Okay.
I didn't want to come up with something like, oh, I'm going to have this band, and we're going to kick everyone's ass, and then not, you know? Because I did have a great band there for a while, Secret Service, and we just never quite got a singer together. And I was using heavily, but the band was great, you know. Music was good, and the band was excellent. And I think it would have done quite well, although it was also at that time when, you know, the music was kind of changing. And
now, what was Secret Service playing? Was there ever any demos made or any album released? Or
yeah, I've got a demo that may come out in Japan as an EP.
Okay. As Secret Service or as Robbin Crosby solo, or?
No, as Secret Service.
And is somebody singing on that, or is it just?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, you know, I hope this whole thing just really opens everybody's eyes up to the fact that, you know, I'm a good guitar player and a good writer, and I always was, and you know, I haven't lost anything. I just lost my way in the dark there. And when you're as polluted as I was, it was real hard to find my way home.
Mm-hmm. And now you're getting there.
Yeah, I feel strong. I'm dying to get out of here and get going on this thing, because the whole thing kind of came up in the last couple months. You know, it's just gotten more and more, you know, day and night. I can't sleep or think about anything else, you know. So.
And if it takes off, you would like to go tour and get on the road and see fans again and stuff like that?
Yeah. If, like I said, if a touring band came out of it,
right.
If we had a singer that was good and wanted to do it, you know, and a drummer and a bass player, blah, 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 you know, that's hard to do, especially if they've never done it before, or, you know, they say they want to do it, and then they get out there, and it turns out a couple of them don't like each other, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just have to see.
And what else? What else does what else should be printed? What else do people need to know about Robbin Crosby? Or what have we missed? Have we missed anything?
I don't really think so.
We've covered pretty much the beginning.
You know, I think, like I said, I've lived, eat, drank, slipped, rock and roll since I was fucking 10 years old. And my dreams have all come true and then some, and then been dashed against the rocks by people that I didn't even really respect at times.
Right.
And that I always thought that I had a lot more going for me. And I walked away from it. You know, I didn't come back in the present and say, hey, fuck those guys, you know, they don't know what they're talking about. I just walked away and let them have their little fun day because, you know, I knew that without me they'd suck. And I hate to sound, you know, it just wouldn't be RATT. And without Juan, you know.
So without all five guys, it's just not RATT.
I don't think so. But on the other hand, I think that like Warren's band now, like I said, I'm sure they sound great. I just think it's kind of weird that they're calling it RATT. I mean, what's up with that?
I don't really know.
You know what I mean?
It's about making money. Right, to keep the name going.
Yeah, well, shit. It seemed like they could have made more money by having a new band, but...
Now, have you heard of Juan's band at all?
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on Liquid Sunday?
It's good music. You know, that's not the kind of thing I'm going to be doing.
Right.
You know, I'm into much harder rock than that. I mean, that's the kind of thing Juan's always been into, is kind of pop.
Okay.
With a hard undertone, but that's not what I'm going to be doing with him, and he knows that, you know.
Do you know who's going to? Oh, well, I guess you have guest vocalists that are going to come in, or?
Yep.
Well, is singing something you'd like to do on that album, or?
Something about what?
Is singing something you would like to do on the album, or?
No, I may do lines here and there, but I don't think that I'm going to do any lead vocals. I mean, just more as an effect. There's some certain things that I'd like to say and have me actually say them and have them mean it, you know what I mean? You know, I want to have some fun with this thing, and I want it to be fun, and I want people to enjoy it, and you know, really get a kick out of it, and have it be something that, hey, you should run out and get this record because it's for a good cause, and it's for a good man who's given his heart and soul to rock and roll.
And that's a perfect quote right there.
Yeah.
So
we can leave it at that.
I think so. I think we pretty much covered everything.
I think so too.
And if there's any updates, I mean, if you find out anything on the 18th or anything else that you think of, you know, just give me a call and I can phone you right back.
Right. Vice versa.
You know, anything like that. And I'll probably, as I go through the tape and stuff, I'll probably come up with a few questions or something like that. Just
right. Well,
get
I'm available.
Well, that sounds good, and thank you very much for your time, by the way.
Thank you, Mitch. I really appreciate you having me.
And
you know,
I sent off an email, by the way, to Paul Garagino, who's the editor at Metal Edge, and I asked him if you know, you could proof the pictures, because you had mentioned that yesterday.
Uh-huh.
And I haven't heard back from him yet, but I don't see why there would be a problem.
Right.
So hopefully, so I just want to let you know that that's been done. I'm not just going to let him print whatever without at least, hopefully, you getting a chance to see them.
Okie doke.
But anyway, you're welcome, and I hope, you know, I'm sure this is going to make a great piece, and I'm sure it's going to look great. And
yeah, I wish you'd really, you know, push the charity thing and the you know.
Is there a website for the charity? Is there any kind of contact info?
Not yet, but soon.
And okay, so, you know, I'll start transcribing and writing this, and when you get that info, I mean, you know, you got like a 3-month lead time on this
yeah.
kind of thing, so hopefully in the next couple of weeks or a month, we can just get a couple, the
Right.
website or whatever, and just slot it in there.
Right.
Is it the Robbin Crosby AIDS Foundation? Or
Well, I don't know what we'll do with that, really. I don't know. I got to talk to a lawyer and see if it's got to have, whether it could go directly to an existing, foundation, or whether I have to give it a name to make it mine,
Okay.
But I'll get with you.
Okay, that sounds good.
I'm available.
Yeah.
You know where I am.
Well, hopefully it won't be there much longer. Hopefully I'll get a home phone number at some point.
Yeah, I'd like that.
And then we can phone you at home. And if all goes well, I should be out in California in August for a couple of weeks. So, if anything, maybe I can buy you lunch or something, and just to say thank you for speaking to me today.
I appreciate that. And don't thank me, I'm thanking you.
Well, it's mutual.
All right, Mitch.
So have a good rest of your Sunday, and we'll talk soon.
God bless you.
You too.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
And there you have it, folks, my interview with Robbin Crosby of RATT from June 10th, 2001. Robbin, we miss you. We really do. Thank you for that, and thank you for listening, folks. Please check me out on Twitter, at Mitch Lafon, MITCHLAFON. And there you go. Enough said. Bye for now.